You'd be fine. By every measurable standard, things are going well. You have enough, maybe more than enough. People around you seem happy with far less, and yet there is this feeling, quiet, persistent, and deeply confusing, that something is missing. Not dramatically missing, not crisis-level missing, just absent, like a room with all the furniture but no warmth, like going through the motions of a life that looks exactly right from the outside and feels strangely hollow from the inside. And the worst part is not the emptiness itself. It is the guilt about the emptiness, because you know you should not feel this way, and that knowledge makes it worse. You are not broken. You are not ungrateful, and you are definitely not alone. What you are experiencing has a name, a neurological explanation, and a way through. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why it happens, even to people whose lives look genuinely good. Chapter 1. The Arrival Fallacy. You spent months, maybe years, working towards something, a goal, a milestone, a version of your life you were convinced would finally make things feel right. And then you got there, and instead of the arrival feeling you expected, that deep settled sense of having made it, you felt almost nothing. A brief flicker, then back to baseline, then quietly back to the same hollow undercurrent. This is not ingratitude, it is neurological. Psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar calls it the arrival fallacy, the mistaken belief that reaching a destination will produce a sustained emotional state. Your brain is not designed to rest in achievement. It is designed to pursue the next thing. The moment a goal is reached, the dopamine circuitry that was energized by the pursuit goes quiet. The dopamine that sustained the chase has no more chase to sustain, and the result is not happiness. It is a flat, slightly disorienting stillness where the feeling you expected should be. You get the promotion, you move into the apartment, you reach the number on the scale. For 2 days, it feels good. Then the furniture of your inner life rearranges itself back into the familiar configuration. The goal is achieved, the emptiness remains. What you were chasing was never the goal, it was the feeling of moving towards something that mattered, and the moment you arrive, the movement stops. When you notice the post-arrival flatness, remind yourself, this is not a sign that I chose the wrong thing, it is a sign that my brain runs on pursuit, and I need to build something worth moving toward next. Chapter 2. The Disconnection Underneath. Here is what the emptiness is often actually signaling. Not that your life is wrong, not that something terrible is coming, but that you have drifted, slowly, invisibly, over a long period, away from the things that genuinely connect you to yourself. Psychologists call this self-alienation, and it happens to the most functional people, because functionality is its own trap. When life demands that you perform, produce, achieve, and maintain, when the schedule is full and the responsibilities are real, and the people around you need things, your inner life quietly gets deprioritized, not abandoned dramatically, just slowly moved to the back of the queue. Day after day, the things that genuinely feed your sense of aliveness, deep conversation, creative expression, stillness, genuine play, get replaced by the things that keep the machine running. You are busy, genuinely busy, but the busyness is horizontal, covering ground without going deep, and after long enough living horizontally, the vertical dimension of your experience, the one that gives life its texture and meaning, starts to feel inaccessible. Not gone, just unreachable, like a frequency you used to receive clearly that is now buried under static. Your calendar is full, Your obligations are met, and yet you cannot remember the last time you felt genuinely absorbed in something for its own sake, not productive, not useful, just alive to the experience of being in it. Ask yourself honestly, what was the last thing I did purely because it made me feel like myself, not because it was useful, impressive, or expected? Chapter 3. The Numbing Spiral. Most people who feel empty do not sit with the emptiness. They fill it, not consciously, not maliciously, but with the extraordinary efficiency of a mind that finds discomfort intolerable. Scrolling, eating beyond hunger, staying busy beyond necessity, drinking a little more than they need to, staying in relationships that are not right because the alternative is the silence, consuming content at a pace that leaves no gap for the feeling to surface. None of these are character failures. They are all intelligent short-term solutions to an uncomfortable internal state. The problem is that the solution and the problem share the same structure. Numbing the emptiness prevents you from feeling it, which prevents you from understanding it, which prevents you from addressing what it is actually pointing toward. Psychologist Brené Brown's research found that humans cannot selectively numb emotions. When you numb the uncomfortable ones, the emptiness, the longing, the grief of a life that has drifted from what matters, you simultaneously numb the capacity for joy, connection, and genuine aliveness. The same mechanism that protects you from the bad feeling blocks you from the good one. You do not get to choose which emotions the numbness reaches. You spend Sunday evening on your phone for 3 hours, not because anything on the phone is genuinely engaging, but because the moment you put it down, the quiet arrives, and the quiet contains something you have been avoiding without quite knowing you are avoiding it. The next time you reach for the numbing behavior, pause for 10 seconds and ask, what feeling am I trying to not feel right now? Chapter 4. The Identity Drift. There is a version of emptiness that comes not from the absence of good things, but the slow erosion of knowing who you actually are underneath the roles you perform. You are someone's partner, someone's employee, someone's parent, child, friend, colleague. Each role has its requirements. Each requires a version of you calibrated to what that context needs. And somewhere in the accumulation of all those calibrated versions, the original, the one that existed before the roles, can become genuinely difficult to locate. This is not an identity crisis in the dramatic sense. It is subtler and more common than that. It is the quiet experience of performing your life competently without feeling the performer and the performance are the same person, a gap between the you that shows up and the you that watches it showing up. Carl Jung called the roles we perform for the world the persona, the mask shaped by social expectation. The emptiness that comes from living entirely through the persona is not a sign that you are inauthentic. It is a sign that the persona has been so consistently prioritized that the self underneath it has not been visited in a long time. You are good at your job, good at being the responsible one, good at managing, maintaining, and keeping things together. But when someone asks you what you actually want, not what you are supposed to want, not what would make sense, but what you genuinely desire for your own life, the answer takes a long time to arrive, or does not arrive at all. Sit with this question without rushing to answer it. Who am I when nobody needs anything from me, and nothing is required? Chapter 5. The Meaning Gap. Viktor Frankl survived the Nazi concentration camps and wrote one of the most important books in psychology, Man's Search for Meaning. His central finding was simple and devastating. Human beings can endure almost any suffering if they have a reason for it, and human beings can feel empty in the middle of comfort and safety if they do not. Meaning is not found, it is made, and it requires three things to exist: a sense that what you are doing matters, a connection to something beyond your immediate self-interest, and the feeling that you are living in alignment with your genuine values rather than performing someone else's script for what a good life looks like. The modern world is extraordinarily efficient at providing comfort and stimulation while being structurally indifferent to meaning. You can have everything the algorithm thinks you want, the aesthetics, the achievements, the affirmations, and still feel the hollow undercurrent if none of it is connected to something that genuinely matters to you at the level beneath preference. The emptiness you feel is not a malfunction. It is your psyche's refusal to pretend that comfort and meaning are the same thing. It is the part of you that knows the difference between a life that looks good and a life that feels real, and it will keep signaling until you listen. Your life is full, your schedule, your feed, your obligations, but when you ask yourself what any of it is for, what the shape of it means, what story it is telling, what it is building toward, the answer feels thin, performed rather than felt, described rather than lived. Start here. What would I spend my time on if I were not trying to prove anything to anyone, including myself? The emptiness is not your enemy. It is the most honest signal your inner life can send. It is the part of you that has not been fooled by the performance of a good life into believing it is the experience of one. This week, one practice. 20 minutes. No phone, no task, no productivity. Sit with the question from Chapter 2. What is the last thing I did purely because it made me feel like myself? And then do that thing. Not to be happier, not to fix the emptiness, just to remind yourself that the frequency is still there. You just stopped tuning in. The emptiness does not mean your life is wrong. It means part of your life is waiting to be lived, and it has been patient long enough. If this named something you have been carrying quietly, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Inner Logic. New psychology every week.